rough one. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sherdog.com. You are joining us live for the trenches. I am once again joined by an incredible human being, Captain Credential himself, the man, Jason Burgos. What's up, Jason? How you feeling today, man?
I mean, just incredible human being. I mean, I knew that already, but to hear it, I mean, it does warm the soul. I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to talking about a lot of fascinating topics. Some may be controversial, and I mean, I would guess Europe One is going to probably have something for us.
I'm sure he does. Yeah, he's always got some good questions. Shout out to Europe One in advance, because I saw like a couple of the questions, but quite honestly, I just haven't been in the mental space to kind of pre-prepare some thoughts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I've been homesick the past couple days. I ventured out the house a little bit today. Got some fresh air again. I should be good to go tomorrow and resuming my regular life. But there's some sort of bug going around the office that's got everybody all hurting. So
Isn't it the worst when you work at an office or work somewhere where there's many people and it's like, you're sick, like do the right thing. Either go the F home or be smart about your germs, and people are just not. Sick, man.
Yeah, I was like, damn that, man, I'm leaving early. I was I was like, man, I'm not doing this. I was sitting at my desk just not able to really think. It's like, yeah, let me go ahead and hop back in my car.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna watch a lot of Netflix. So I watched all of Narcos Mexico. Incredible show.
I'm watching that too. I'm on like, I got like 2 episodes left. But that, what's funny too is I never watched the other Narcos. I put this on thinking it was the normal Narcos, and to see I'm watching the spinoff new one, I was like, oh, all right, fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the MCU where you have to watch one to understand the other. It's not that.
But I saw they had a crossover though.
Yeah, they had the cameo, but with Escobar and the guys from the Cali cartel. So they had that cameo in there, but it's not really central to understanding either series. So you can pick them up independently, and it's all good. All right,
but let me bring this up.
What's up?
Though. Speaking of MCU, speaking of Netflix, I don't think you've checked Facebook. Did you see that all the Netflix Marvel shows are not going to be usable for 2 years?
You know what? I saw you shared that on Facebook, and I just couldn't mentally bring myself to read the article, man. What a shit show!
I get
what
it.
An
it's
absolute
like,
shit show.
It's like that. What's it like? Non-compete clause, and it's smart, but it's like, damn, man.
Yeah, this is the way where business gets in the way of shit I really want to see.
Yeah,
I just want to see Luke Cage and Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Punisher and Iron Fist. Less so Iron Fist. But I want to see them all interacting with the movie characters. I want to see them fully integrated into the movie world, or at least have some baseline acknowledgement of one on the other. It's just, it's kind of silly how that whole thing breaks down, and especially with some of the minor connections that only the true school nerds are going to know, like Daredevil and Quake were at the same orphanage. Little things like that where you're like, oh man, I'd love to see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cross over with some of this too, and the Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. It's a lot of good stuff out there, all because executives can't get along out there fussing and bitching and fighting each other and complaining and everything. Man, it's like the comic book version of De La Hoya and Dana White. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just a clown in a Superman hoodie, man. I don't know.
There you go.
I'm tripping. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started, because we do have a few good questions up ahead from what I've been told, since I really haven't seen a whole lot of them. But anyway, so I guess we're gonna jump right into the shits and to deal with the elephant in the room before we go on to the fun stuff. So it starts question 1 from Mastiff Mike. What are your thoughts on the way MMA media has gone radio silent about the Ian Kidd case? Sherdog has featured an article on Randy Couture's jerk-off video, yet nothing on the Kidd situation. Any insight into why that is? Do you think there might be a little bit of an attempt to sweep it under the rug since it's family? So let me take the reins first, and we'll kick this one back and forth. As far as the last part, I want to address that first, saying that it's people trying to sweep it under the rug because it's family. I don't know that motherfucker. I don't know Ian Kidd. I wouldn't know him if he walked across the street in front of my face. The only time I've seen a picture of him is when all this stuff surfaced. And if for those who are unaware, he was a journalist for Bloody Elbow. Did a lot of really good work on uncovering PEDs and some of the scandals involved there. But he also is a pervert. He's convicted of some really disgusting stuff, having a cache of child pornography, and him and some other guys that own a media company in Scotland or whatever. And somehow he's escaped without jail time for all of this. But first and foremost, I don't know that motherfucker. Mm-hmm. May he rot. He is a piece of shit. And there's no other way to frame that. If you are into child porn, you are a piece of shit, and fuck you with a broomstick. I don't have anything nice to say about you, and I have a hard time even wishing that you're alive. And that's just where it stands. I don't care who that offends. I make no apology for it. But what I will say, as far as the media silence, I mean, there are a lot of different things to this angle. I mean, first of all, you know, MMA media, while I've definitely made some friends throughout this, you being included in that group, Jason, like definitely made some good friends, made some good connections that I hope last past, you know, my tenure in the sport or whatever the case may be. But truth be told, a lot of us don't really know each other. We don't. We're not that connected in the sense that everybody hangs out with one another. Right. You know, Bloody Elbow, for instance, as far as I know, they haven't been credentialed for UFC events. Therefore, a lot of us would not have met them. I don't believe I've ever met someone working for Bloody Elbow, at least while they were working for Bloody Elbow. And they've uncovered a lot of really ugly things in the sport, and they've talked about things that other media outlets have shied away from. They've talked about things that Sherdog has not talked about a whole lot necessarily, because we don't simply have the resources behind us to investigate things, to push some of these agendas that they've been able to do. They've got major corporate support with Vox Media, who fully backs their MMA their MMA outlets. Shout out to Crave. Anyway, so we don't have that same support to investigate and to dig deep onto a lot of different things that they have. And because of that, they've made a lot of enemies, you know, and we've seen more than enough people jump up on social media talking about they're trying to hide it and this and that. Hey, Vox has legal teams that told these people who they rely on these paychecks to pay their bills and feed their families, and they were told not to say anything, and gag orders were issued for Vox Media staff and their freelancers and said, hey, don't say anything. We're going to investigate this. So they took their resources to investigate it. Believe it or not, Ian Kidd is not a very uncommon name. So they had to make sure it was the right guy that was, that was cited in the newspaper article and all that. And they figured out it was, and they gave him the boot. Like, what else do you want? You know, nobody's out here supporting and riding for that fool. Fuck him. Like, I really don't get it. I think a lot of times this is one of those instances where people try to take their gripes with MMA media or MMA journalists or whatever you want to call us, pundits or whatever the case may be. They're taking up their gripes and using this as a screw to turn. Yeah. And here's a message to everyone, every single person out there who is using this as say, look at them, they're all bad, they all in on it, and you call them for Pizzagate conspiracy theories and stuff. Mm-hmm. You are an extra rotten piece of shit if you are taking a situation this ugly, this foul, and this disgusting, and you want to turn it into a platform to make people forget how shitty you actually are. You know, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of people who don't have the balls, had a real picture on their Twitter profiles. And, you know, a lot of bots and a lot of trolls out there saying a lot of shit that you straight up wouldn't say to a lot of these people's faces if you were there. Or if you were, it doesn't distract from the fact that you don't have exemplary character. You can simultaneously, in the same world, simultaneously, two things can exist. You can be a piece of shit, and so can Ian Kidd. Maybe a different type of piece of shit. Maybe your vice is something less sinister. Maybe it's just as sinister, but it's in another category. I'm not the one to judge that, but neither are you. So Let's knock it off. Let's actually keep this what it's about. This is, and Jason, I definitely want to hear what you got to say on this, man. I was at my office holiday party Saturday, and I'm not watching UFC 231 because I don't want any spoilers.
Yeah.
And my phone is going off, and I know it's people tweeting me and everything. I caught an interesting Twitter exchange with you and my man Matt Hunter. Shout out to Matt Hunter of Mixed Combat Radio, where it was a suggestion that we as journalists or media members need to investigate everybody. Shut the fuck up. Is that not the dumbest damn thing in the world? How many perverts you probably have sitting next to you in your office, or at the warehouse that you work at, or the accounting firm, or wherever you work at, that has got some low down nasty shit in their mind, and low down nasty shit on their hard drive, and got a low down nasty ass pass. Yet you're not calling for a full investigation on the plumbers. You're not calling for a full investigation on everyone at your accounting office, or at your gym or wherever else you work. So why is that the case here? And Jason, did you bother launching a full investigation into me or my background before we started this this podcast?
Now that you ask, I'm still waiting for the results. I think they should be positive, but I guess we'll see.
Well, straight them down. If you went through the archives of my hard drive, the worst thing you'd find is Jada Fire and Tiana Trump. So that's about as worse as it gets on this end. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this, and and I don't feel like we should shy away from the subject. Now, I will say this. I do wish that Sherdog did put out something about it. I saw a few other outlets start to kind of after a lot of fact finding was done, and I applaud everyone for doing that and addressing it head on. But I do wish that we as a website had something more to say about it. And maybe this is it. Maybe y'all was just waiting on the trenches to roll around, and I had to jump on here and say something the way I say things. Yeah. So that's kind of what I feel about that. Jason, anything you want to add?
With the massive, it's a fair point he makes, especially if you're going to compare it to, we did cover, the Brandon Couture thing. It's a weird thing. General news media covering it. It's a weird gray area because Randy Couture is a former, fighter, legend in the sport. It makes sense to cover it. Kid's a writer. We're not covering writers. We're not giving awards to writers and stuff like that. So it's a fair point. I agree with you and everything. We probably could have put something, but what are we going to put? Report what happened. The information was fairly vague. Bloody Elbow took them several days to even get this article together, where they have sources that can connect, and contact him. But even if you read the article Bloody Elbow put out, it wasn't like which I was surprised a little bit about, that they didn't contact like the police department in Scotland and then go do in depth. They kind of got vague information themselves. So I'm not sure what people want other than outright condemnation. Do we have to condemn it to let you know that we're unhappy? Obviously, everybody in the site thinks it's sick and it's ridiculous, and it's heartbreaking to any of those children that are involved in that kind of industry, which is, pretty sick of itself. But if you're just looking for condemnation, fine. No one, we can give that, but do we have to? I don't know what it matters. Could have reported it. You probably, would have been good, but I don't think it would make a big difference. We all know it's terrible, and we all know it's horrific. In terms of the guy online that kind of came at us, me and Mike, about that stuff, it's absurd. It's that there's this connection. There's a fraternity of MMA writers, but like you said, it's a very loose fraternity. I'm a part of the MMA Journalists Association, and they're trying to build a stronger fraternity, and that's really at a grassroots level anyway. So for people it's just that weird thing about social media, that people are unhappy with their life, so they look for a reason to attack, or people are looking to be outraged about everything and be the first one to be outraged, so they take an opportunity to be outraged when it makes no sense. And the guy, like I said to him, if you, what are you gonna do? Are you the type of person that's going into the drawers of your coworker's desk to see what's going on? You're gonna investigate everybody. Like, our job is not to investigate the personal lives of our colleagues in different sites in different countries. Come on, let's be serious here. That's why what Bloody Elbow did, I think, should really answer the topic for the entire industry. I don't think every site, that's sort of like something happened within the Giants, the New York Giants football organization, and the Kansas City Chiefs need to comment on it, or have some kind of thoughts on it. It's just, it's in the same realm, but it's just completely different things. So us having to say something about it, I don't think it's necessarily necessary, because it's a weird topic. Even the best sources had vague ideas on it. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think you make some good points there. As far as the MMA Journalists Association, I mean, a lot of this actually initial incident kicked off because of some sort of friction between the general public and the Mixed Martial Arts Journalists Association, going back to the Greg Hardy, Rachel Ostovich booking.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting that, of course, it's a good thing that this guy was exposed, and he is all the way the fuck up out of there now. And, may he rot, and hopefully we'll never hear of him or about him again. But I do think the incident itself, the Hardy and Ostovich thing, raised a lot of very interesting things with the MMA Journalists Association, or just MMA media in general. And this was, and I found it kind of crazy that this all kicked off because Ian Kidd was arguing with someone on Twitter about the Greg Hardy thing, and then it turns out this guy got pissed off and decided to do a Google search, and I guess he didn't have to search hard. He searched the name and searched his area or something, and then he found out all this stuff and got it to a few choice people in the MMA world. So, I did want to say this also. So as far as I think maybe about 24 hours, I think, after we did the trenches last week, the MMA Journalists Association, which you are a part of, did put out a statement about how the reporters were silenced or coerced not to say anything or ask Dana about the Greg Hardy situation at the 231 pre-presser. I will say, and no disrespect to the Journalists Association at all. One, because you're my boy, you're a member, but also because there are people that I respect that are part of that and probably help write the statement. So I'm definitely going to jump out on a limb and be disrespectful. And also at the same time too, people's livelihoods are on the line. And this is for guys who need access to do their jobs. You have to keep your credential, and the UFC has used that as a power play. From what I understand, they even pulled one reporter who pissed them off at a scrum asking about it, pulled his floor credential and forced him to stay in the media room for the event. So there are little things like that go on that the general public is not privy to. I will say that statement, I thought that statement was kind of lukewarm. I thought it was kind of weak, to be quite honest, but also those inner workings, man, make it a very complex situation. But still, the MMAJA, which I am not a member of, maybe I'll join in the future, something I've been considering. Maybe, just time needs to pass and people need to get on the same page for things to work and things to actually make a difference. But with the UFC holding so much power and so much control over the sport itself, it's a tough ass, it's an uphill battle, but we do it. So we fight the good fight, whether or not the general public appreciates that, so be it. But here we are doing what we do. So, all right. So that fun little bit aside, now we can move off of the dark topics and the things that we just need to address just to shut people the hell up. And now we're going to talk about the fights. So our poll question for this week: Who is the greatest featherweight of all time, Jose Aldo or Max Holloway? Right now, we got 100% saying Jose Aldo. Obviously, this is a very important question because 231 happened and Max Holloway was dominant as all hell. It was an incredible performance, and he definitely cemented himself as an all-time great featherweight, all-time greatest. What do you say, Jason?
Jay, if you can can you look up like Aldo and Holloway's like last 7 or 8 wins, if at all possible. I know it's gonna be a lot if you can't find, but it's a great question. It's always tough too, because when you answer it in the moment at the time, it always feels like the person at the time, and all the things you forgot about that were amazing to you 3-4 years ago, it's forgotten about. It seems like it's not as valuable, but my brain would say Holloway, even though Holloway himself has said it's not him, it's still Aldo. I mean, Aldo did amazing things. He had a similar winning streak for many years. This guy, I don't think what's Holloway's winning streak is like 4
13,
years.
I think.
Huh? It's 13 fights?
Yeah.
Is that many since McGregor? Wow. So I mean, it's like 13 fights. It's been 4 or 5 years, you know. So and he's dominating great fighters. I mean, Aldo. It's interesting because he dominated Pettis. He dominated Aldo twice. If you're dominating the guy who was supposed to be the best ever, that should make the new best ever. He dominated Brian Ortega. I mean, Jose Aldo had some impressive wins, but it felt like when Jose Aldo got to the highest levels and started fighting the really good guys, other than the Mendez fight where he kneed him in the face and the counter and he jumped over the cage, jumped the crowd, everybody remembers that, it seemed like he had tougher fights than Holloway has had. And I feel like Holloway's has fought as good a competition. You know, he had a tough fight with Frankie both times. He had a tough fight with Mendez the second time. He had a tough fight with Mark Hominick. Mark Hominick wouldn't go with his gigantic bulging thing on his head. He even had a tough fight with I think Kenny Florian might have fought him and went down and fought him. He had a difficult fight. So he's had some tough fights, and Conor McGregor knocked him out in seconds. So I feel like Holloway is just more dominant, like both highly skilled, but Holloway is beating top fighters and is just like a force of nature that's really singular to him and anybody, and no one else has really touched that in this division in its history. If someone wants to say it's Aldo, I have no problem with that. You know, he is amazing. I think if this guy gets a Frankie Edgar win, which if that's the fight that is made next, which I kind of don't hope because I think Frankie's going to lose, I really don't think you can say anything else other than Holloway's the best. But it's a fantastic debate. It's cool to see featherweight has come along so fast that we can now have this debate. And, yeah, it's fun to talk about, but I'm going to go with Holloway.
All right, so I do have the stats that you asked for.
Okay.
All right, so Max Holloway's last 7 wins, Brian Ortega, obviously, TKO round 4. Aldo, TKO round 3. Aldo, TKO round 3. Pettis, TKO round 3. Damn, round 3 is he's like Yoel Romero in the 3rd round.
Then starts to dominate, and by 3, it's over.
Yeah. Ricardo Lamas, unanimous decision. I think that was 199. Yeah, I was at that fight. Jeremy Stevens, a unanimous decision, and Du Bronx of round 1 TKO. All those last 7 fights, Stevens TKO round 1, Holloway the 2 losses, both in round 3. The decision win over Frankie Edgar, KO loss to McGregor, decision wins over Mendez, and then Lamas. Also, Aldo defended his featherweight title 7 times in a row with 3 fight of the nights. So, when you say all time, I gotta go Aldo, but I think it won't be long before Holloway eclipses him.
Mm-hmm.
Aldo, here's one thing that I think about this. Holloway is like the next evolution of fighter.
Yep.
You know, he has, and I think also his style, at least as he's been in the UFC as opposed to Aldo's tenure in the UFC, and I'm not counting in the WEC for this particular thing. Like Holloway has been a much more exciting guy to watch as a UFC fighter. Aldo, like you said, once he came into the UFC, a lot more decisions, you know, came his way, and they seem to be tougher fights. But I think that was more so him just kind of taking the gas pedal. I think to a lesser extent he was like Anderson Silva when he was dominating middleweight, and I think he was just kind of bored with a lot of people. But you saw every time somebody did try to rise up to the occasion, they got shut down. Mark Hominick comes to mind, and Hominick, when I first saw that fight, when it was like 2010, I think maybe that fight was, I scored it a draw because I thought that if I remember correctly, that last round Hominick just had him in mount, and
so bad.
Yeah, and he gassed him. And that was, from what I understand, more so a product of an illness / weight cut that Aldo had. But Aldo was just such a beast, man. He was like Aldo when Aldo would jump in the cage with somebody, I would literally be afraid for the other person's life. There were several times, like when he fought. I'll say this: when he was supposed to fight Josh Grisby, and he gets injured, and Dustin Poirier took his place, and Poirier, smoked Grisby. The first thing I said to my friends I was watching that with is, "Oh man, Poirier saved his life." If Josh Grisby stepped in front of Aldo as he was then, that same Aldo that destroyed Manny Gamburian and obliterated Cub Swanson, like Grisby might have died in there, man. And I don't mean that as a euphemism. Like Aldo was scary. He was frightening to watch. Now, granted, if Holloway were standing across from me right now, I would probably piss my pants. but I don't watch it, even knowing how dangerous Holloway is. I don't get that same sense of danger for the opponent that I do. That I'll say that I did with Aldo in his prime. But the way Holloway put it on Brian Ortega, who is a fantastic fighter, I mean, it's not going to be long before he eclipses that. And I think the only thing that would knock him out of being the greatest featherweight of all time at this point would be if he left the division.
Yeah.
That would be it. If his career at featherweight stops right now and you say he's the greatest, okay, I'm not going to be too mad at you. I don't agree, but I'm not going to be mad at you. It's going to be like if you said Redman is the greatest rapper of all time. Hey, I don't agree, but I'm not mad at that. I'm not going to argue with you all day about it. So that's kind of what I feel about this situation here. So that actually is a decent segue into our next question here from Yohimbo. Is it time for Max versus Conor 2, this time at lightweight? Looks like there's no one in featherweight that can take down Max, although Frankie hasn't had his shot yet.
I would love to see if Conor could make 145. I mean, it's possible if you get the right nutrition system and you plan it out. You can do it. Like I interviewed Jordan Rinaldi, about almost a month ago, and he was at 155. And he went down to 145, and he was bad. He did 145 early in his career. It almost killed him one time, really bad weight cut. But with the help of the Performance Institute, instead of being 9 pounds, like a few pounds or 4 or 5 pounds over, 10 pounds over the day before weighing, he was like 4/10 over. And he's a big guy. He was just fighting lightweight. Now he's a really big 40 featherweight. So it can be done. So I'd rather see him fight McGregor go back down to 45, where I don't think he ever lost in the UFC at 145, and he was undefeated. He never lost the title. He moved up. That would be because then it would settle it, because that's the only guy Holloway has lost to at 45. Him. So that would settle it, because if it's not Aldo and it's between McGregor and Holloway for some people, now we would know. The Frankie fight, he makes a good case. Maybe it's Frankie, but I really don't see Frankie winning that fight. Yeah, Frankie can offer takedown opportunities and more better and in a better way than Ortega did. He could transition it better. He mixes it up. He's got more technical grappling for wrestling and takedowns. But if he can't take him down, he's going to get beat up on the feet. And even if he takes him down, I can see Max Holloway being a guy that gets back up. He's got just as good a gas tank, maybe not as good as Frankie, but still very good. Frankie's not going to gas him out. I just don't think that pressure is going to work for Frankie. So, I mean, wherever, if it's at 55, who's going to complain? It's an amazing fight. I would prefer 145. Yeah, him versus McGregor makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, but I saw someone suggest him versus Tony Ferguson, which that's not going to happen. It makes no sense, but that fight would be ridiculous.
Yes, please sign me up instantly.
Yes, for fucking fun's sake, just give Tony Ferguson $700,000, whatever. Give him what he got, and just make that fight because it would be an instant classic. But yeah, I guess him. I mean, Yair's not there yet. You know, maybe Zabit is that guy down the line because he can strike.
Yet,
he's
though.
a good takedown. I mean, not now, but
yeah.
It matters on how long Holloway's gonna wait. But maybe he's that guy, maybe Yair, you know. But yeah, there's not a clear guy. He's already lapped the division. There's not much more for him to do, and the best guy is Frankie, and I never like that fight.
Well, I think if Holloway does decide to stay at featherweight, you got to give Frankie the shot. You got to give him the shot. I mean, he risked that shot against Brian Ortega, and you know, and we saw what happened there. I just think as a good pat on the back, a good attaboy, you gotta give Frankie that crack because he did do the company a solid and he lost his shot as a result. So go ahead, pay it forward for Frankie Edgar if Holloway decides to stay at 145. But also Chad Mendes is back. I favor Holloway to win pretty much against anybody in the division. Yeah. But hey, Mendes is back. He's fighting Volkanovski, I think, at 232. Mm-hmm. So the winner of that, you know, you can talk about. Other than that, and Frankie, I don't know what's left for him and to beat. I don't think it's going to make the progress in time to do it. Who else am I thinking? Yeah, Yair Rodriguez, same thing. In fact, I'd probably rather see those two matched up now at this point. I mean, shit, I think that's it. But if I'm Conor McGregor, I am not coming back down to 45. You know, because that man is going to he looked like death on the scales at featherweight. And I don't think he wants to do that anymore, man. I don't blame him. You know, and maybe Holloway is going to be through with it. Maybe Holloway, you know, he's talking about he doesn't care about either division he fights in, but hey, maybe he starts the dieting and the training camp. He's like, man, the hell with this. He's like, I want a steak, you know, and at 55 it is, you know, that'd be cool. But if I'm Conor, I don't think I want that fight right now.
Yeah,
I don't think I want that fight. If I'm Conor, I'm taking it's going to be a fight that can generate interest. Obviously, it will generate interest because it is McGregor. But I'm going to take an easier stylistic matchup. You know, I would have been, if I was Conor, I've been looking for that cowboy fight.
Yeah.
Or like Edson Barboza, somebody like that you have stylistic advantages over. Yeah, he may have some stylistic advantages over Holloway, but Holloway is such an improved fighter, and he's so dangerous, and the volume and the cardio, you know, some of those things that McGregor just doesn't have, and he just, you know, ended up falling victim to in 2 consecutive fights, including Floyd. I would much rather, if I'm Conor, take an easier fight than Max Holloway, just to get that, just to feel a win again, just to get my legs back under me and come back and make something strong. But if you got to put Max at 155 right now, the fight is Nate Diaz. That's the fight. Dustin Poirier would be a good backup too. That's the only other guy who's beaten him at featherweight. So that would be a nice one to get back. But Max Holloway versus Nate Diaz, yes, please. Like, yes, please. Like, just the thought of it, I'm going in my wallet right now, and I just want to just throw cash at the camera, just that, make it rain on the camera. I need to see that one. So that would be my vote for a good next move for Max Holloway if he decides to leave the featherweight division. So, all right, let's see what our next question is. This is also following along with the UFC 231 theme from CPH. Who at 125 will beat Valentina Shevchenko?
Nobody. I don't know. I mean, Montoya is a nice fighter, but Sarge is a nice fighter, but Chukagian looked like maybe she could be the one, and she undefeated or whatever. She lost to Jessica Ai, so I do not think Jessica Ai is gonna be Shevchenko. I think she's just gonna get clowned. No disrespect to Jessica Ai, good fighter, but I just that fight amazed me because I mean I picked her to win. I thought she would win, but when you're fighting Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's everybody's been touting how she's one of the best strikers, not just one of the best women strikers, but best strikers in general. You go up in weight, you would almost always assume the small person going up should be faster. And also, Joanna moves around. She's, while Shevchenko's very stationary, very tight, and you would think that's a good matchup. She can move, hit, move, stick, and move. And for the more, still fighter. And how is Shevchenko bigger and honestly seemed faster than Joanna in that fight, which amazed me. Like, if she can be at that weight, which really seems like her optimal weight, she's fast. She's got grappling. I wouldn't be surprised sooner or later maybe she finishes somebody with strikes. I mean, she's just so much of a total package. The division doesn't have the same kind of superstar depth maybe 35 or even 115 does, and the people that could move up to make it may not be optimal things for them to do. So you're getting these tweener types who maybe will rise, but they didn't stand out at their prior divisions. Mostly it's a lot of 35s coming down, like Shevchenko already had title shots at 35. Jessica I think she maybe lost 3 in a row or something like that, and is now getting a title shot. Unlikely to get a title shot in this new division. Sarge Eubanks, she doesn't have a great record. She was close to a title shot. Montoya is still an unproven commodity, a lot of potential, but we don't know yet. So right now it's Shevchenko, and it's kind of everybody else right here. And I think she holds on to it as long as she feels like it, or mother time catches up with her, honestly.
I can't disagree with that. I mean, Joanna would have been her toughest challenge, and we saw she handled that with ease. That was like light work. It looked like she didn't really struggle in any way, shape, or form with that. Also, other people that could do it, like, all right, so let's go over the top 5 ranked flyweights in the women's division. So you got Jessica I don't think she does it.
Yeah.
I think her mistakes as far as fight IQ go, Shevchenko would expose a lot of holes in her game. And she's, I just don't see that happening. Sarge, she can't make weight. Like, she's not a flyweight at this point. Like, sorry. Yeah. So let's just cancel that. I don't even know why she's still ranked at flyweight. Maybe they just haven't updated the rankings yet. But yeah, she's not a flyweight. So let's knock it off. Shakugian just lost. Alexis Davis. No. I don't see Alexis Davis. Liz Carmouche. Liz Carmouche could do it. I think Liz Carmouche would probably be. And she has a win over Shevchenko in 2010. So Carmouche, I think just by her style, like being what she calls herself, the gorilla.
Yeah, like she's actually to get tooled badly.
She would get either tooled badly or she would ragdoll Shevchenko, and that it'll be one or the other. I think it's more likely
that could you really see it? I couldn't see it. Like, I think Shevchenko's gotten so much better in grappling, and she's stronger. I just don't. Like, she was fighting at 35. I mean, shows Carmouche. I don't know. I'd be surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, but I think Carmouche has more of like the bully type style that can stop the technician. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that she's going to do it. But that's more of the style that I think you would have to have at this point, because
I think it would mean to me. I can see it being like Diego Sanchez versus BJ Penn.
Yeah, that's entirely possible, and that's probably the more likely outcome. But if this is the people that we have to choose from, I think it's pretty clear Shevchenko is probably going to hold on to that belt for a while. But I mean, on a rainy day, maybe Carmouche does it.
And is a banana peel on the octagon?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things have to go her way, but I think at least she has that in her favor, that she has a bully type style, and sometimes you can bully a technician. Yeah, and that's really it. That's it, bro. I can't come up with any other reason why Shevchenko will be dropping that belt unless she just decided she wanted to leave it behind to, be a professional gunsmith or something. I don't know. All right. So now you asked for Jason, and you got it.
Oh boy,
we got a question from Europe One.
Woo!
Europe One, back in this BIH. All right. He says, what is the recipe behind successfully going up in weight? At UFC 231, we saw Thiago Santos destroy another light heavyweight body, while Joanna found herself outpowered and out-wrestled by a bigger woman, despite having the best takedown defense in women's mixed martial arts. Is there any rhyme or reason to all of this?
I think there's rhyme and reason to it. You know, it's hard to. Thiago Santos is, you know, a big guy anyway, so him moving up was in honestly his health's benefit. You know, that's the rhyme or reason. If you're too big for it and you go up, makes sense, because in the end you're not going to be draining yourself. You know, there's people, you have to understand, for the listeners out there, there's fighters that a majority of their camp can be just weight cutting, just slowly getting their weight down. And they may not, and this is not necessarily has to be Rampage, who's blowing up and just eating chicken and steak and fucking cupcakes all the time in between fights. Like, this is a fighter that does take care of himself, and he's just so large, he has to slowly work his way down to it. While in another camp, if you're going up in weight, you just focus on your skills. You just work on your technique. You don't have the stress. Like, it's a mental stress, not only a physical stress when you have to do a bad weight cut. So fighters like him, Gaslam's a little bit of a unique case in that he's small. He really probably should be at 170, but he's having this success. But Whitaker was probably too big. He went up. You know, a lot of times it's too big going up. Even a Donald Cerrone is probably cutting too much, and he's going back down, which makes no sense. Joanna, I don't think going up really, as a person that used to do a show with her strength and conditioning coach, he didn't seem like, you know, oh, it's terrible for her weight because it's bad for her. She really needs to go up. When she got the right kind of nutritionists and people around her, weight cutting wasn't a big issue. When she had the wrong people around her, that was the Rose Namajunas fight, the first fight, she had gotten into trouble. And then, like, people thinking she needs to go up. Looking at her physique going into the Shevchenko fight, she didn't look the usual lean look she did. She looked like someone who put on weight to make the division. And while Shevchenko looked like a lean 125 cut up, like, killing machine. You know, I didn't feel the impressiveness of Joanna's body. So, and also, Joanna fought the best in the division, so she may stay in the division and still whoop ass. So it still remains to be seen. She lost to the champion. That doesn't mean that it's not her weight class. She just lost to the best. So, but if you're too big for your weight class, going up is the rhyme or reason. If you're going up because, you know, you want to try something new, that's where it can get a little dicey. For Gaslam, it's worked out. For Joanna, at least so far, it didn't work out.
Yeah. I think it's all a balancing act, and I can't disagree with any point you made there. It's all a balancing act. So is your health going to be diminished to the point where being bigger isn't worth it anymore? Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of, you just have to decide which one is going to be prioritized, and if you're sacrificing one too much in favor of the other. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's really what it is, because no matter what, you can't get over the fact that someone's bigger than you and stronger than you, they have the potential to ragdoll you.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen like Andrade and Claudia Gadelha get their hands on Joanna and not be able to just pick her up and just throw her to the ground like that.
Exactly.
You know, and that's not going to come with someone that's your size or someone that you're bigger than. That's just not going to happen like that most of the time. So yeah, there's going to be times where it shows like, yeah, these people cut weight for a reason. You know, someone that's that much bigger than you. I mean, what was the I read this Frankie Edgar's father-in-law or something.
That was my story.
That was your story. Okay, yeah, that was
talking to Demetrius Johnson. And asked him about will he go up, and he had the whole story with Frankie's father-in-law, and you know that he used to get beat up and end up in the hospital at one lightweight, but featherweight is not as much of a problem because he's fighting too big of guys.
Yeah, and that right there shows size makes a difference.
Yeah,
when you know one person is hitting the other, it's just going to be a big difference there. And as far as Thiago Santos, I don't know if you've ever met Thiago Santos. I've covered I think 2 events that he fought at. Mm-hmm. That man is massive.
Yeah, he looked like Jimmy Manuwa was a muscular man, and he did not look smaller by any means near him.
And I've met Jimmy Manuwa, and that's a big guy. So to see them standing next to each other, and they are close enough to the same size. And you think one of these dudes was fighting at 185, and not just fighting at 185.
Yeah,
like this guy was cutting weight and making 185 consistently several times a year.
Yeah,
for several years now. I don't how he made 185. I'll never know, man. That guy's massive. It is very clear that he probably should not have been fighting at that weight class.
Yeah,
You know, like he just went to where he belongs. That like that. It's simple as that. And especially now, with as thin as that division is, shit. If you are a middleweight struggling right now to make weight or to stand out in the division, just go ahead, get out the sauna. You know, do some dumbbell curls. And go ahead, move up to light heavyweight because it is wide open right now.
Yep,
it's wide open. You know, obviously the championship is going to be up for grabs in the very, very near future. And if John Jones walks away victorious, then yes, there's a pure killer that is dominant as all hell with that belt in his hands. But the rest of that division is so wide open. You can so find yourself in a title shot. You can so find yourself maybe landing that lucky knockout punch. You never know. Go up to 205 if you having any troubles at middleweight. So that'll be my piece on that matter. So let's go to a question by another one of our favorites, Kung Fu Z. And this is a very, very new, relevant topic, so I like it. He must have just posted this question yesterday.
Oh,
he must have. All right. So, what do you make of the UFC canceling 233? Seems like they are putting a lot into the big ESPN/ESPN Plus push, and have thinned themselves out.
I tell you, I mean, it's funny. All those sources who get all those nice little tidbits about UFC news and fights like that. Where are these sources and information on why this fight was this card was canceled? It's kind of just this vague thing, and everybody's just guessing what the reasons are. But where's the sources now, guys? Come on, help us out. But
well, I mean, you know why? You know why, man? Because the UFC is going to tell you one thing, but you know it's something else. Like they won't even say that the event is canceled. They say it's postponed.
Yeah,
it's postponed. Yet 234 is just going to go on. Just in 235, we're just keeping the same numbering and it's just knock it off. It's canceled. Yeah, can we just knock the bullshit off? It's canceled. Yeah, and that's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, you canceled the event. Cool. All right. I mean, the same thing happened in Southern California 2 other times since I've moved here. So when I first moved out here, I believe it was UFC supposed to be 176.
The Henderson Jones?
No, that was 151. 176 was supposed to be Aldo, and I don't remember who he was supposed to fight. Aldo was supposed to fight in that card. He gets injured, and they had the weakest ass undercard. Like it was weak sauce, especially for pay-per-view. It's supposed to be at the Staples Center. I didn't buy tickets yet because I was waiting for it to fill up. You know, they end up canceling it. That was a wrap. And then I believe 209 was originally supposed to be in Anaheim last January, and they canceled that and moved it to Brooklyn. And that was, I think that ended up being Holly Holmes and no, maybe that wasn't last year then. I don't know. But maybe I'm getting my years mixed up. I live a hectic life. What can I say? But either way, they sacrificed a card in Anaheim early in the year, and then it ended up later on. They came back to Anaheim for 214. So there was that. So that was dope. But they have too many events. Yeah, like that's it. It's just too many events. Like you have all these events back to back to back to back to back, and then you don't have talent to fill them out. Like that's the problem. And especially if you're going to go to a big market like Anaheim, you go to Anaheim, you go to Staples Center, you go to or you go to Madison Square Garden, which they just had a whole lot of trouble getting a solid card together for that, at least a main event. They had a whole lot of trouble getting a main event ready for Madison Square Garden at 2:30, and you just like, for these big markets, they need to have these names ready and available.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. Like as dope as that card looked like, as dope as that undercard looked like, do you think anybody was gonna show up and pay the pay-per-view to see, you know, Askren and Usman in an interim welterweight title fight? Like, no, pass. Like, it doesn't. And that's no disrespect to those guys, but that's not big market main event material.
Yeah. I mean, they really sabotaged that card by taking Cejudo Dillashaw off there, because at least if you have that, you have two of the better fighters out there. The guy still coming off the Demetrius Johnson win. You have it's a super fight, the guy going for 2 titles. Like, no disrespect to Ben Askren and Lawler. I'm very excited for that fight. But Lawler is clearly, you know, looking like he's on the downside of the career, though we thought that once before. And Askren is still, you know, unproven in terms of this UFC. We all feel like he should do well, but we got to see it to believe it. And he may not be as big a name to us diehards as he is to the casuals. And big cities like that, you know, for big expensive arenas like that, you got to be able to sell something to the casuals, and that's the thing. I don't know if Askren Lawler does that. And also, I really feel on some level the ticket sales probably had to have some kind of influence, because I felt if that was in a sold-out arena, why would you cancel it? You know, you're still going to make a lot of money there. Pay-per-view ain't what it wants anyway, so at least you have the arena gate. So the fact that there is, I agree with you, there's too many events, and then you have Bellator with a very good card, Fedor going for a world title once again in the same general region. I'm sure that had some effect, and I'm sure on some level ticket sales probably weren't as good as they would prefer. Then they killed the main event. Everything's in limbo. Ticket sales probably definitely stalled on that level, and they probably moved it because, you know, why continue it on? But yeah, it is weird how they're handling it, not calling it cancel and stuff like that. But, you know, even the biggest companies in the world have make mistakes, and they couldn't even put a card together. So.
Oh yeah, they make their fair share of mistakes. Yeah. So let's gotta be very, very clear about that. But actually, from what I understand, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, I don't think the tickets went on sale yet.
Really?
I think the tickets were supposed to go on sale tomorrow.
Really?
So if that's the case, then that would make perfect sense to decide to cancel it now, because then you prevent a logistical nightmare with people trying to get refunds, or the embarrassment of not selling a whole lot. And you know, while Bellator is running a pretty big card, you know, just 20-30 miles away, and that's, I mean, at least it made my life easier, because I know I'm going to Bellator now. So and when I do my post-fight column, it'll only be one event that I need to talk about. So that makes my life a little easier. But yeah, man, like this is just a symptom of a larger problem in the UFC. And then look at all the chaos that, first of all, taking Dillashaw and Cejudo off of that card just did not make any sense when you look at the background of Dillashaw and Cejudo. These are guys with Southern California ties. Yep. Cejudo grew up, like, Cejudo was partially raised in Los Angeles. Dillashaw has set up his roots in SoCal now, and you're gonna take them off of the card, like essentially a hometown card. They sold out Staples Center just a few months back. They did very well on pay-per-view, albeit in separate fights, but they were the main and co-main events of that card at 227 the last time the UFC was in the Los Angeles area, and it did well. It did about, I think it did like 400,000 buys, which was more than we expected. Yeah, definitely more than we expected. So I mean,
more than Ortiz to Liddell for part 3 for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I'll get all the 25,000 buys. Oh man. Oh yeah, we're definitely, to everybody watching, we're definitely going to talk about Dana White versus Oscar De La Hoya. So hold on to your butts. But anyway, man, like, this is the symptom of a large problem. And all the other things that have started as a result. Now, once again, because of this, Dana White has decided to run up against Tyron Woodley and say some stuff about him. And it's just like, it just starts this ugliness and this foolishness over and over again. And it's like, why? Like,
is Usman Woodley one of the questions?
Like Usman?
Is Usman Woodley one of the questions? Because we got to talk about that. I can't believe that.
It as far as I know, I don't know, but I'm sure if there is, Jay will prioritize it. But you know what? Before we, I'm sure if there is a question, Jay's probably digging it up right now. But we got to address some breaking news.
Oh,
so breaking news. Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou is in the works for the main event of UFC on ESPN1 in Phoenix. What do you think about that fight?
UFC on ESPN1. What is that? It's on. So it's going to be on like the main ESPN network, or it's on the app only?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you. I mean, maybe JJ will update
it's something ESPN related.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's going to be. I think the one in Phoenix, I think, is the main ESPN debut. If I'm not mistaken, I think ESPN Plus debut is Cejudo Dillashaw, and that's going to be in Brooklyn. So this must be like mainstream ESPN. Yeah, Jay just confirmed I'm right on that. I'm so smart.
It's a fascinating fight. It's not, I really was hoping for Stipe and Cain. I thought that would have been fantastic. A great story of deciding who's the best heavyweight of all time. I mean, that's a fun fight. I give, despite Cain coming off of such a strangely long hiatus, it's a good matchup for him. There's dangers, the ring rust, that's always debatable with fighters, but I think it's a really good matchup. I mean, he can do what Stipe did to Ngannou times 10, honestly. And but for Ngannou, it's a fair matchup too, because you're getting a legend. He's coming off a long hiatus. Maybe he's broken. Maybe his age has finally caught up to what he must be, 37, 38, if you tell us, Jay. So, I mean, long hiatus age, it's a worthwhile fight for Ngannou too. If he loses to Cain, he's losing to a legend, arguably the best heavyweight of all time. So that's a super fun fight. Doing it in the Southwest and his largely Hispanic market makes complete sense to have Cain on something like that. That's a fun fight. And honestly, I always respected Cain, not necessarily a big fan of his, never really rooted for him, was rooting for Dos Santos in those fights, was rooting for Verdum in those fights. But honestly, I have to say, I'm really excited for him to come back. I mean, the fact that such a great fighter was out of the sport for so long is disappointing, but really, honestly, I'm excited for that. I'm glad to see Cain Velasquez coming back.
Yeah, I don't think you could not be excited about Cain Velasquez coming back. I mean, he's Cain Velasquez. I mean, without the injuries, we're talking about easily the greatest heavyweight of all time. This guy was such a dominant force when he's competing, that it just, and also how crazy is it too that Cain Velasquez was the debut fight for the UFC on Fox.
Best one, yes,
yeah. He was the first. Yeah, he was the first fight on Big Fox.
And that was the only fight.
Yeah, the only fight. Yeah, the only.
It was weird. It was a one fight card.
Yeah, that lasted 23 seconds or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So you go from that to now he is the debut main event for the mainstream ESPN card. Like, that's pretty dope, and that shows that shows like what they think of him, that he's still getting these big looks. Because as far as the ring rust is concerned, when you're just breaking down the fight itself, I don't think that's going to be much of a factor. I mean, Cain Velasquez's entire career has been ring rust.
Yeah,
like he has like a year and a half off, 2 years between all of his fights essentially, and at this stage of his career. So it's just be business as usual. I just hope that his body is okay. I just hope I just hope he doesn't fall apart before getting to Phoenix. So that's definitely something that we need to be cautious about. But stylistically, it's a perfect fight for him.
Yeah.
And also we did think about this when he fought Dos Santos on that debut Fox card, and we saw what happened there. So so let's not run to the betting just yet.
Yeah.
Although you probably could safely paste that bet.
Yeah.
You can safely
watch,
paste it. Yeah, I mean, we kind of have to. Yeah. Although if we didn't have to, we'd watch it anyway.
Exactly.
So let me stop making it sound like what we do is a chore. All right, so let's move on here to some questions. My phone was just stalling a little bit, so I'm trying to keep up to the questions that Jay is sending me. All right, so let's get to some more fun talk here.
Oh boy.
45-year-old Oscar De La Hoya, who is 39-6 in his career, versus 49-year-old Dana White, who is 0-0 in his career, in a 3-round boxing match. Who gets it done And why is this a thing in 2018?
Why
This
is
is a thing in 2018 because we don't deserve nice things. Because in our past lives, we were all fuck ups and degenerates, and we are being punished. That's why this is a thing.
Like the entire MMA fan base is a bunch of people. They used to be the prisoners in Australia when Australia was just an English prison island. They've all become degenerates and become MMA fans. Is what we get in the next life. I mean, I don't know why. We're talking about it because it's stupid and funny and it's entertaining. But I mean, who cares? Let's be real. Oscar De La Hoya is like my favorite boxer ever. Outside from being an awful MMA promoter, he would whoop that man's ass. He could gain another 40 pounds, be smoking, half drunk, and he still whoop Dana White's ass like that. Left hook to the body, Dana White goes down. That's it. You know, it's silly. It's sad. That's the saddest thing to watch. Like, you would hope a guy like Oscar De La Hoya would be that elder statesman, regal, respectable kind of influence that boxing needs. When you've had the Don King flag waving nonsense and some of the other scumbaggery of boxing, Golden Boy, at least at first, seemed like the thing that we all needed. A promotion run by fighters, and they're different, and they care about the fighters because they were fighters. It's different. They care about the sport, respect. And it's kind of devolved into the same nonsense. I know that Oscar has his own, issues with substances and stuff like that. Maybe they're back in the picture again. But the fact that he's kind of doing this stuff, and it's what makes boxing, it's unfortunate. And now he's even going to these lengths. Like, that's why I admire so much Scott Coker. Have been a long fan of his. Chatri Sit Yang Tong. Some of these owners of Southern Promotions, they don't get into this bullshit. When Dana White talks shit about Scott Coker, oh well, he doesn't say anything. Like, he's gonna be above that. I wish there was a little bit more of that, and that the fact that these two are chirping like angry chihuahuas in the street, it's so stupid. But Oscar would whoop his ass bad. Don't worry.
Oscar would beat the brakes off of him. Like, it wouldn't even be a contest. Like, if you thought that Mayweather McGregor was going to be a wash, this will be like 10 times worse. And I don't care how depleted of a version of Oscar we're seeing. You're talking about one of the greatest boxers that's ever walked the face of the earth. And say what you will about his pronunciation of UFC fighters' names or his memory about the undercard or whatever.
MMA promoter.
Oh, just god awful MMA promoter.
He's not the golden boy. He's the garbage boy.
No, that's I think on my post fight column I called it Copper Boy Promotions.
There you go.
This is the level of promotion we're dealing with Oscar De La Hoya from an MMA side. But I will never forget, as a kid, watching De La Hoya put work in on fools.
Yes.
And being an incredible ambassador of the sport.
Yes.
So let's not forget that. So if they are actually going to fight, I mean, hey, Dana White knows the sport. He knows MMA. Yeah. I've talked to both of them and, in brief interactions, and they both have been, fairly nice to me, although Dana don't really answer my questions straight up. but at the end of the day, man, Oscar would beat the hell out of him. It wouldn't even be funny. It would be sad. And you know what? Do you remember when he was supposed to fight Tito Ortiz in a boxing match?
Yeah, like, come on, yeah. And did that happen? And they'll try to make it seem like Tito was scared. Well, was Tito scared to lose to Dana White? No, man. There was some backdoor deal or whatever. Got that shit cut out from the legs. Like, come on, man. And that's what's always fun about fighters, because fighters are still fighters no matter how old they are. They could be 60 years old and half senile. They're still shadow boxing. Like, they got a fight coming up in the next week. Like, Oscar's still a fighter. Dana White ain't no fighter. He's a promoter. He might have had like that Boston boxing connect. He had a fight, man. Dana can bulk up as much as he want.
Yeah, from what I understand, that was like fitness boxing. Yeah. So that wasn't even like, as far as I know, he wasn't really coaching fighters necessarily. So I mean, I'm not gonna dog the man's business credentials. I'm not gonna dog the man's place in our sport, but in boxing, as a boxer at least, I think he probably managed the hell out of somebody. He promote the hell out of a lot of boxers. And if Zuffa boxing became a thing, and he was able to devote himself to it like he did in the early days of the UFC, Zuffa boxing would thrive with that level.
The rivalry would be this guy still doing MMA and then Dana doing boxing, and they're both doing the same against each other. That'd be crazy.
But I mean, the idea that he's going to fight, fuck out of here. That either one of them are going to fight, get the fuck out of here. That's lunacy. That's lunacy. But it's funny. It's funny, and it gave me a little chuckle when I heard about that. And it also speaks to kind of the oddities that is combat sports. Like, do you think Adam Silver is going to pop shit at Roger Goodell? Like, it doesn't happen in any other sport.
This is the culture we live in a world where the president, the next speaker of the House, and the minority speaker of the Senate are on camera, and they're bickering on like national TV, bickering, and the president is act like a fucking child. Like, this is the world we live in. So Dana White and this guy, this is the new normal. This is like the new normal. Sooner or later, Scott Coker is gonna get involved. Probably. This is crazy.
Wait, so if that's the case, we just need Mike Pence cage side falling asleep.
And
then that'll just complete the whole. Yeah, man, your man was dozing off like hell in the middle of that. Oh my God! Oh, please don't let this fight happen, please. But at the same time, please let this fight happen, please.
I know. I'll still watch.
Hey, man, if it happens, let it happen in LA. I want to be there. I will be there with my press pass and some popcorn. All right. All right. So, once again, shout out to Jay, who is an incredible producer and moderator of this live chat that we do once a week. He has fulfilled our wishes and brought a Tyron Woodley Usman question up. He says reports say Kamaru Usman is going to get the next shot against Tyron Woodley instead of Colby Covington. Is that a better fight? And is this the right call? So we did address this last week a little bit, but the talk seems to have heated up. There seem to be rumors out there that Covington is trying to get more time to heal, and Dana's having issues with Tyron. So we're hearing tensions on both sides, and Usman is the one who is capitalizing on whatever stalled negotiations there are, and it looks like it's possible that he's going to get the title shot ahead of Colby Covington. I personally don't think that's the fight to make. I think stylistically it would be a better fight, but I think Woodley washes both of them, and it just wouldn't be as disgusting as the promotion probably would be. It wouldn't be as exciting of a fight build up. At least it wouldn't feel like the same stakes. I think if you put Usman against Covington, maybe you can drum up a lower level of that, but and attach an interim tag to it. God, I can't believe I just said attach an interim tag to it. I hate interim titles, but anyway, but Colby should be fighting Tyron Woodley. Like, it's that simple.
Yes, the
UFC gave him a belt. No matter how stupid it was that they gave him a belt, they gave him a belt. Like, respect it. That was the last fight he had. He won a belt. The champion retained his belt. Okay, so now the two guys with belts fight each other. I mean, y'all gotta respect the interim belt that Covington got it. Somehow you brought it to the damn White House. So respect it. Respect that. Respect the lineage of a title, and let's unify this and put it to bed. At this point, obviously, it's not going to be on 233 because it's postponed. Well, throw that thing on 235.
Yeah.
So that way, Nick Diaz and Jorge Masvidal will be there on the undercard as well. Throw Usman on that card with I don't know, whoever. Throw Usman on there with somebody, with Ponzinibbio or something, and you can have some sort of like welterweight tournament or whatever on that card. That could be like the feature attraction as a welterweights, like they did that old heavyweight pay-per-view a few years back. So do something like that. But I mean, this whole this whole just they just have. I mean, this is another symptom of them having to fill these slots for events. Like, you're gonna skip over the obvious fight to just make a fight because we can do it.
Yeah,
just nah. I pass, hard pass on that. You know,
I'm wholly disappointed by it. You know, and that's not to say that I'm like Usman's not. It's like you said, it's a good fight. We talked about last week. Not to rehash too much of what we talked about last week. It probably is maybe the more interesting fight, and I think Usman has a better chance of the two. But it's completely disappointing. Who doesn't want to see Colby Covington and Woodley? And if you're a supporter of Colby Covington, whatever, he finally gets his chance against Woodley. If you don't like Colby, he finally gets his chance to get punched in the mouth. You know, so this is the fight to make. I mean, it's one of the clear fights to make in the promotion right now. So to not do it, I mean, and also, I mean, no disrespect to Tyron, but considering his history with selling pay-per-views, Usman is not necessarily a name that's really maybe drawing a lot of interest, unfortunately. I can just see that as a main event, unless there's some other stronger fights on it, like really not doing that well. And in contrast, if it was Colby and Tyron, all the bullshit and drama as disgusting it will be, it would probably do very well. So, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It just really needs to be Colby Covington. Kind of disappointed, you know, but whatever. It's still a cool fight. Good for Usman. He's worked his way. He deserves it. He's really worked his way up there. It's a fair fight. But yeah, disappointed.
Yeah, definitely agree. This is a lost opportunity, and this is, you know, considering that the promotion just put out, and I haven't watched it yet. I've been meaning to watch. I just haven't had time to check it out. The mini documentary about Trump's involvement with the UFC.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you're willing to put that out in such a politically charged climate, and you're willing to promote Khabib versus Conor McGregor on some really ugly things, and you know, and I've become privy to some things that have not been reported that have gone on behind the scenes that are really foul and really disgusting, involving the feud between these two. If you're willing to promote on those lines, and you're willing to embrace, you know, the MAGA crowd and everything that brings, just put the damn fight together.
Yeah.
Just put it together and promote it, the dumpster fire that you want to do, and just let's not pretend, okay? Because at this point, all they're doing is going to hurt their own pockets. If you put Kamaru Usman against Tyron Woodley, while it might be a better fight in and of itself, you know it's not going to sell shit.
Yeah,
you know it. There's really no selling point beyond the fact that Tyron Woodley is an amazing fighter and that Kamaru Usman is an amazing fighter. And being an amazing fighter just doesn't seem to be good enough nowadays to get promoted properly. So let's not pretend that this is about a good athletic contest, because it's not. You know, just go ahead, just go ahead and go all the way. If we're going to go all the way WWE, or all the way Fox News versus CNN, or whatever conflict you want to manufacture, just do it. Just do it, and really, this is the rare time where going that route makes more sense.
Yeah. For
sporting integrity, because Colby Covington had a belt.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I rest my case on that.
Yeah.
All right. So, oh man, I should have plugged my phone up into the charger.
Let me also add this too. Wouldn't it be completely combat sports that Tyron loses the fight?
Yes.
And then the sizzle of Colby versus Colby for the title is completely gone. And maybe the fight doesn't even happen. Maybe Tyron's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to middleweight now, whatever. I'm not champion. You know, that could totally, and almost seems like the likely scenario, because it's just a fucking softball they're being thrown. They're going, I'm gonna take this pitch. You know, it's just.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, those things happen all the time. Remember, it was a foregone conclusion that Conor McGregor was going to fight, I think it was Robbie Lawler, for the welterweight title at UFC 200 until Nate Diaz had something to say about it. You know, so you can't take these things for granted. When you have the matchup presented, when you have it served on a platter, and it makes sense for sporting integrity.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? It just makes too much sense to put together. So you just put it together. Like, let their injuries heal.
Yeah.
let Woodley get his thumb reattached to whatever happened to him in the Till fight. And Colby had the nose surgery, and I think he said he tore a ligament in his foot or something after his nose surgery. So let people heal and let them fight each other. And that fight makes all the sense in the world for multiple reasons, and they'll make a boatload of money in the process. There's no other answer. That's it. All right. So another one from Europe 1. Bellator is about to bomb Hawaii with 2 fight cards in 1 weekend. Explain to us, how in the hell did they get there before the UFC? Shout out to Rumble on the Rock and Icon Sports.
Rumble on the Rock, shout out. Well done, well done. Honestly, I don't know. And I emailed today, but I'm sure it's too super busy. I actually try to put out some feelers on hopefully maybe getting an interview with Scott Coker. Fingers crossed. I don't know if it'll happen, but I really couldn't say myself. It's a good question. That's why I will want to interview Scott Coker to ask him. I don't know. I mean, my guess would be it's a logistical thing. It's always tough because it's probably expensive because you're either shipping equipment to the island, which is very expensive, or you're renting equipment on the island, which I'm sure is expensive in its own right. And I'm sure, the question I would wonder is, why is it not expensive to go to Israel and Italy just the same? But maybe the dollar goes a little further, even in international markets and stuff like that. So it's an interesting question. I'm not sure why they did it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do these 2 events and they probably, I'm not assuming this is going to be a regular thing, like how Italy has become for them. They're going to go to Hawaii. I don't know. I mean, maybe they make a boatload of cash and it seems feasible, but the fact that the UFC has never done it, had a BJ Penn, has Max Holloway now, he's been champion for a while, and they still haven't done it, says a lot because they have more than enough money. I think it was to Bellator was probably just a worthwhile risk to try it, and they have someone in Lee Malay McFarland, who I did get to interview last week, and the story's up on Sherdog. She's a bankable star. She, in her last event that she was the main event on, the card averaged, I think, like maybe 600, something like that. And her fight in particular went up to 700,000 views. That's pretty impressive for a young fighter, 8-0 in a women's division, not in the UFC, that, closing in on 1 million people want to watch her fight. So she's got a star appeal. So it's the right person to take the island. She's well supported, super cool. So I'm sure on Bellator's end, it was probably a worthwhile gamble and see what happens. But I wouldn't assume it's going to be something regular.
Well, interestingly, Scott Coker today at the pre-fight presser, he said that this was something he wanted to do regularly.
Interesting.
Now,
nice.
Wanting to do regularly and actually doing it regularly are 2 different things. So this could just be something he's saying in the moment. I think this is a decision that will be made after the gate is counted, after all the money is stacked up. Then they'll decide what they want to do. But Viacom is a huge, huge company that has incredibly deep pockets, and Hawaii is a grossly underserved area.
And that's what they like to do. That's what they're doing, which is smart. They're going to those places. That's why they go to Oklahoma all the time. They go to those places that the UFC's not. So if they can make that a place, yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I think they're building a lot of goodwill there as well. Like Hawaii is a pretty tight knit family vibe about the whole place,
and a good fight culture too.
A huge fight culture that has not been served properly. Pretty much since Rumble in the Rock and Icon Sports disappeared. Like Hawaii is one of those forgotten meccas of MMA.
Yeah.
And I think, and of course, logistically, it would be a nightmare to constantly travel back and forth to Hawaii. It is, and I can say this just from my wedding experience. Having my wedding in Hawaii and certain things that we wanted to decorate the venue with and stuff like that. We had to fly over ourselves, and it was just carrying that little bit of stuff on the plane. Had to pay extra for baggage, and and it's just the inconvenience of it all. And then flying back was the same thing, and then you got some wedding presents and stuff. So it was pretty difficult just in that, 2 people traveling for a small wedding. So putting on a fight card, like, we weren't traveling with the cage. So I can't imagine what the expense will be on that. However, if you serve an underserved community, the benefits are beautiful, man. Like, there are a gazillion people in Hawaii that love this stuff and will show up every time. You know, they will pay to be in them seats every time, and they'll buy your merch at the door. They'll buy all that, and then on top of that, it also gives a it gives something prestige wise to Bellator for them to be the ones to open up the doors to Hawaii once again, and to make themselves at least a once a year presence on the islands. To make themselves a presence there, it gives a level of prestige because you're doing what the UFC has refused to do, or has decided just wasn't worth it. You know, with a dominant force like Max Holloway as your featherweight champion, and you haven't done this. You know, with him on the 13-fight win streak, and you haven't done this. You know, needless to say, Scott Coker then reached out and gave this man front row tickets. You know, so this is the community that has not been served.
Yeah,
you fill that arena up with several thousand screaming Hawaiian fans that are all knowledgeable about the sport and loving it, and their hometown guys are fighting, and there are plenty of them, of those hometown guys to fill a card up with that will get down. Man, that event, watching it on TV, will feel so much bigger and add so much more prestige to the name of Bellator MMA that I think if you can afford to do it, like pretty much if it isn't a loss, do it again.
Yeah.
If you go there and break even, fine, do it again.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, you're building up, you're helping build a community. You know, Scott Coker is all about building up a community. He essentially is the flagship guy as far as Bay Area mixed martial arts is concerned. You know, he brought Strikeforce to the Bay Area and made it what it was, you know, and turned AK into the powerhouse and the Caesar Gracie team. You know, the guys that rep that area really hard. That Scott Coker deserves a huge amount of credit for that and putting those guys on. He could do it again in Hawaii. As long as they break even, do it again.
And props to them for just, you know, yeah, you would like the numbers to be better. Yeah, it'd be great if they were getting 1 million viewers on Paramount and stuff like that, and more 700s. But props to them for just doing a lot of fantastic fan service in the last year or so. You have the heavyweight Grand Prix. It's been very entertaining. A couple of legends, some other good fighters. It's been great. Then you get the welterweight Grand Prix, which is star-studded. This isn't like the heavyweight where it's like, you know, some older guys, some other guys from the division, mix match for fun fight. These are some great fighters, young talent, current talent, with the champion in it, so the title will travel along in the tournament. You got the Hawaii thing, which is, like you just said, perfectly serving an underserved market in the sport. And then you even have the deal where sending Caldwell to Ryzen, and then a rematch may happen in Bellator. So fan service of working with another promotion to help to make a really great, entertaining fight that isn't even benefiting you. It's just cool fan service, so people go, damn, cool, pretty cool that Bellator did that. So props to them for doing those kind of fan service things in a time where UFC has gotten kind of away from that, could care less. So good job at Bellator.
You know, another note from the Bellator pre-presser today, Scott Coker actually said that he would love to do a co-promotion with Ryzen in Hawaii.
And that would fit. And that's like that would be the middle kind of thing too.
An amazing idea.
Yeah.
You know, something like that would add so much to that brand.
Yeah.
Add so much more gravitas to the name Bellator and attract so many more eyeballs. Because if you co-promote with Ryzen for that Hawaii show, the Japanese fans are tuning in. That's a fan base that would follow you. You know, that would be very loyal as well. So that is what needs to happen. They would love some of them freak show matchups too in Bellator. So it all makes sense. I think you should go that route. Go that route. If you break even, go that route. You know, you're not, you know, looks like these promotions are not going to beat the UFC, at least in the current trajectory.
Yeah.
But if you get creative, you start teaming up, you start trying out different things, so be it. Don't do what one did though and get a streaming deal like that. Don't do that.
You know, a lot of people are hating on that. I don't hate it too much because in the end, you know what? Even though Chatry said John Tong told me it was gonna be live and on tape delay, and it's kind of in the end, TNT is still gonna air on delay. So at least I can watch it now. I'm not gonna do the BR. What's that? Let's Bleach Report. Is that what that BR is for?
Bleach Report, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get the app. I don't need to see it live because in the end, it's still like 3, 4 in the morning. But on TNT, I will watch the delayed version, record it, and I'll see it. I'll have it with my breakfast or whatever, and watch the next day. So at least if they're going to be in the U.S. on TNT on a major network. So yeah, I know a lot of people are poo-pooing on it, but I mean, you know, what did you expect? At least it's not on something random or whatever, some Hallmark network or something kind of completely vague. TNT's a big network. TNT's the home of basketball for so long and stuff like that. So I'm cool with it. You know. Who cares? American fans, we're getting one on TV that you can in and ever with DVR. You don't got to go to the VCR and record it and watch something else in the other room. What's that complaint? Enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I get you, but I'm gonna still complain anyway because that's just what I do. So I'm a fuss for a second here about. But actually, I'm not gonna fuss. I ain't going that hard on it. I was just very disappointed by the announcement. I was disappointed by it because I was anticipating like an actual major television deal. I was anticipating, hey, maybe they didn't slid into that Fox Sports 1 slot. Yeah. Or if it was with Turner, then hey, you're gonna have US based shows, and those are gonna be broadcast on TNT.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm down. But the fact that now we lose accessibility in favor of a tape delay and another paywall, it kind of blows, man. It kind of blows, at least on that end. If you want to watch it live, I'm not always going to be the one staying up. I try. I've stayed up for a one show here and there, but say if I'm doing play-by-play or something, I guess I got to go BR live, but I'm not. So
I mean, whatever. It's better than like PFL, like PFL's deals for NBC Sports. I'm not sure how many homes NBC Sports is in. It might be a lot, but and then the Facebook, the pre-owned of Facebook. So at least you'll get the entire card on TNT, and TNT's still a pretty big network, and that it's in a lot of homes. And in the general grand scheme of things, talking about what Bellator's doing, they're not going to be able to compete necessarily with the UFC. As long as we as fans have more options and that's what we have, and one continues to grow. I mean, it's just good for us and good for us as journalists because it gives us more things to cover. Them coming to the U.S. maybe helps us give us more stuff U.S. sports fans care about to cover and helps us make money. So, I mean, whatever. TNT still be on TNT is still pretty good and pretty big, and it should in the end it should help one grow more because TNT is still pretty big. TNT is on the level of a AMC or USA and stuff like that. So, I mean, and if they're going to put it in prime time, like they're not going to, as long as they don't throw it on like at 3 PM, that's one thing. But from what Chatry told me, they're going to sign with the network that really wants to push them and blow them up. So if one gets advertised during Lakers Celtics, playoff game or whatever, or big game on a Saturday night or weekday night, that's going to help one with U.S. fans. I'm like, whoa, what's this one shit? I'm watching LeBron, but what's one, So, I mean, at least it's cool for fans, and we get more stuff, and more competition is really good for us as journalists and as fans.
What I think would be more beneficial is some of the auxiliary programming that comes with that. That
you
put on TNT.
There's gonna be a reality TV show, I heard, something like that too.
Reality TV show, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be trash. Reality TV sucks. I despise it in every way, shape, and form. I don't watch The Ultimate Fighter anymore, and I haven't for years. I can't remember the last time I watched The Ultimate Fighter.
You're not watching Floor Obama?
Hard pass. anything reality TV, pass. Like
really?
Yeah, I'm so good on that. But this is one thing that I think would be beneficial, and that is if you have like a highlight show. You have like UFC Unleashed. If you have that equivalent for one.
Yes.
And you just see like they put together the greatest knockouts or something. You have those sort of things, and that will spark a casual fan.
Yeah, help me discover stuff I didn't see in one that I've missed. Help me discover who the star is, the stars, and the people I need to worry. So when I watch the show, I'm excited. That's brilliant. And they seem smart with and how they built their brand. So it probably is likely, and I'm excited for it. I'm serious excited for what they do.
Call Chatry and tell him, man. Tell him that one's for free.
Yeah. I'm
That
sure
was
he'll
a
pick up
free.
for me.
Yeah. Call him. I said, Ant said you could have that one.
He's gonna pick
All
up
right.
like Ariel. Oh,
Oh, never mind. Click. But Chatri, if you're watching, that was for free. Next one, you holler at your boy. We'll get this ship right. All right. So we got one final question, and this is from our producer Jay. So very kind of us to add into the question pool.
This better be the best question, Jay. If you're just putting your own question, this better be a phenomenal question, Jay.
Well, he had to end it with his question because, hey, exclamation point! Shout out to Jay. All right. The final UFC on Fox card is this weekend, headlined by Ali Quinta and Kevin Lee 2, with the co-main event of Barboza versus Dan Hooker. Who you got? And looking back at Fox cards, what were some of your favorites? So let me go ahead and bring this up on my screen right here. I should have told you to check the Slack chat because he did send us every main event for the UFC on Fox cards.
What's Slack chat? I'm not getting any messages.
That's because you need to send.
I think it's just a 2-man Slack chat. And
no, you need to put I added you to the chat discussion. You need to change your notifications so that you get a message every time we send something in the chat discussion, because you're missing out on all the planning for the trenches here. I mean, can anybody who's watching now, can you go into the comments and you just trash Jason Burgos for that? Just trash. Jason is trash for that. All right. So now, despite the fact that my trash co-host is unprepared for this, much love. Shout out to Jason.
I was not given the proper tools to succeed.
All right. So first of all,
so this is just what, like all of FS1 and Fox, like history, or just like the Fox events?
Well, let's just go for the we'll make our picks for the main and co-main, and then we'll go into the UFC on Big Fox. We'll go into those.
Barboza and Holger or whatever, I can pass on. I don't know Holger too much, so I'm not gonna be able to give a great analysis.
Hooker is nasty.
Wait,
that's Hooker? Gonna be a fun. Yeah, Dan Hooker.
Oh, Dan, I thought you said Holger. I'm like, who's Holger?
Oh, maybe I just slurred.
You did say Allah Iaquinta too, so I mean, it's kind of late. You are kind of
hey, man, this is not my day. All right.
Oh, Dan Hooker. Okay, Dan Hooker versus Barboza. I'm still gonna go. I mean, Dan Hooker's a good grappler. He's tall, rangy. I'm gonna go Barboza. I think Barboza is just too good, and I think he's gonna try to. His last fight was Nurmagomedov, right?
Kevin Lee.
What since then?
Kevin Lee.
I think he's got to bounce back from a loss, so I'm gonna go Barboza. I mean, Hooker's a fun fighter. I enjoy watching him. But I feel like this is that next level for, going up to the Barboza level. But maybe he surprises us and he changes our minds. I think maybe Barboza's on the comeback and, whatever. He's been beaten up pretty brutally now 2 times in a row. That's right. I forgot about the Lee fight. Lee beat him up pretty bad, just like Nurmagomedov did. But I'll still go Barboza. And I'm going to pick Kevin Lee. I think Iaquinta has mostly stayed the same, really super, super solid, good, fun, difficult guy to beat, enjoyable fighter. I think he's mostly stayed the same guy. Well, I feel like Kevin Lee has taken his game to another level. I feel like Kevin Lee is one of the, in a weird way, despite him being a brash kind of talker guy, he's sort of like a hidden gem in that division somehow. But I'm going to go with Kevin Lee. I feel like he uses more of his tools and his complete tool set a little bit better than Al does. Because despite being able to wrestle, Al does not really use his wrestling on that kind of a level. I think Kevin Lee will mix it up enough to get the W.
Yeah, I'm with you on Kevin Lee. I think Kevin Lee has improved so much as a fighter since they first met, and Kevin Lee is low key like easily one of the best guys in the division right now. And despite the fact that that Al beat him in his UFC debut, I mean, he's not going to be facing the same guy. Yep. Al is essentially the same guy. As tough as he is, as skilled as he is, he feels like the same guy. When I watch an Al fight from recently as opposed to one from 5 years ago, it looks about the same to me.
Yes. Yep.
Kevin Lee is definitely not the same story. Kevin Lee is a much improved fighter who has kind of like come into his own skill wise. Yeah. Keep in mind, he gave Tony Ferguson all he can handle in that first round. And this is a guy with a obvious staph infection, ready to explode on his chest. and he still had a very good showing against Tony Ferguson until his gas tank failed him. By the way, his gas tank doesn't fail him typically. Mm-hmm. You saw that with the Barboza fight. So I got Kevin Lee winning that. I think he gets a finish too, man. I think he TKOs him.
He's got good submission skills.
I don't see him submitting now. Al is really good and slick with submissions and submission defense. I think Lee pounds him out. A TKO ground and pound, 4th round, be my pick. So now as far as the co-main, I gotta go Dan Hooker. I think Edson Barboza is still a very scarily skilled fighter, and he still has that one-shot kill ability. I mean, keep in mind he had Lee in gross trouble after that spin kick. He hit him with a spin kick upside his head, and Lee danced around for a second until he was able to get that desperation takedown. But aside from that one-shot kill power, I think we're gonna have a diminished version of Barboza. Like the beatings that he took in those last 2 fights, that Nurmagomedov fight was easily one of the most savage beatdowns I've ever witnessed in MMA. And granted, he still was trying to fire off. He still had something in him. And he's not a guy who's gonna quit and just not try anything. But there's a point where your body just stops, and I'm afraid that he's going to be at that point, especially after having a similar fight against Kevin Lee, for his very next outing. For that and that reason alone, I got Dan Hooker. I think he's probably going to go on to do some pretty big things, and it probably starts Saturday night. So, but now for all the Fox cards, the UFC and Fox cards, our favorite main events. So, do you have any that stick out to you?
It's no, because I can't in all the stuff one must need to remember in life. I can't decipher, that was a pay-per-view and that was a Fox card. Now, so it's tough to remember specific ones.
How about this? Why don't you just talk about some bullshit real quick, and I'm gonna text this to you.
Can't you just read it off the list or whatever?
Yeah, but okay, I'll read it off the list.
Yeah, give me some choices. Give me yours, and then I'll critique how terrible they are, please.
All right. Oh man, all right. So definitely one that stands out to me was JDS versus Stipe. That was
Fox. What was that?
That was Big Fox. That was a
great fight. That was amazing.
Another one, Robbie Lawler and Matt Brown was.
Robbie Lawler went for a takedown in that fight. I couldn't believe that. He didn't like what Matt Brown was offering on the feet.
A sleeper, one of the sleepers on here, man. Shogun versus Brandon Vera. That ended up being a sneaky good fight.
Yeah, I forgot all about God. Brandon Vera couldn't fill in for heavyweight. He's filled in now.
Yeah, definitely. Nate Diaz and Jim Miller. Whew. Oh, that was a nice one to watch right there. Let me see what else. Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena was another standout for me.
Yeah.
What else we got? Actually, a couple that just kind of brought back some painful memories. Glover versus Rashad Evans. Oh, that hurt to watch. I'm a big Rashad Evans fan, so that hurt to watch that one.
So the last 4 or 5 years have just been not good for you.
No, this is terrible times. Terrible times. Yeah, man. There was Ben Henderson versus Gilbert Melendez was another one that I really liked.
That was a good fight. That was a very good fight.
And that was like a true super fight as well.
Yes. Yep. That was a big deal for the time.
Yeah, that was such a good fight. I mean, the UFC on what I'm seeing on all of these for the most part, Poirier versus Gaethje. Alvarez versus Poirier too. Like, yes, there was some fireworks on these, but you see a consistency here. They wanted mostly action fights for these, and they match these guys up accordingly.
Yeah,
with some title shots sprinkled in there. You had a lot of action for those main events, and I think if they can, hopefully they continue that tradition with the big ESPN shows. I'm sure they will. I mean, hey, Velasquez versus Ngannou shows they're trying to go in that direction still. For these big mainstream opportunities for main events. So, any other ones, man? You're thinking of the top of your head, or that you disliked, or your favorite moments?
No.
All right. Well, on that note, all right. So I guess we'll wrap this thing up. Tell the people what you got coming up. Tell the people where to find you on all the good stuff.
Of course, on social, Cheap Seats Chat, as you can see down there, on Instagram and on Twitter. For this week, busy week, I will have 5 stories coming out related to Bellator Salutes and Bellator 213. What you can find on Sherdog right now is my chat with Alima McFarland. I tweeted about this. If you are a journalist in this sport or a fan, she's great. She's so fun to talk to. She's one of those people that friendly, and this is just a phone call, but friendly, warm, honest, just great quotes. But Alima McFarland was main eventing Bellator 213, which we talked about earlier. Brett Primus I talked to, great, very fun interview on there. He does not like Michael Chandler. Doesn't like him at all. That is the main event for Bellator Salutes tomorrow night for the lightweight title. Talked to Rafael Carvalho, who's former Bellator middleweight champion, fight Lyoto Machida at 213 on Saturday. Talked also to Neiman Gracie, continuing the Gracie name, which is one of the more fascinating fights on 213, as he fights Ed Ruth in the second fight of the welterweight Grand Prix, which is the interesting fight because it's the rising stars fight, so to speak. And the winner of that will face the winner of John Fitch and Roy McDonald for the title. And then I have an article with Lee McGeary. I'm hoping that article should come out tomorrow. He fights King Mo at 213. So look for all those there. Have some other PFL stuff coming up that you should see in this next few weeks with finalists leading into the championship. And that's pretty much it for the horizon, so to speak.
All right. So you can find me at Ant Walker MMA. I'm not nearly as busy as my co-host here.
You're busy going to events. You are the Mr. Credential. I don't know why I get these names. You are Captain Credential. I'm just living in your shadow, sir. You got fighters calling you up every day and just having these friendly conversations, and you probably got a Bellator title belt sitting in there somewhere. But anyway, man, I have the Ask Ant column that I have to write when this is over with. One thing I should start doing, I should start looking at the questions ahead of time and start writing it beforehand, so I'm not half asleep when I'm writing it at night. But hey, I don't learn my lesson. I'm a procrastinator. So that's what's going to go down this evening. Ask Ant should be out tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon by the latest. Also, Good, Bad, and Ugly will be coming out Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, depending on how half sleep I am after a very, very busy night of fights, because we do have Bellator 2 nights in a row. We've got the UFC as well. Canelo Alvarez is fighting. Also, you can check me out on Mixed Combat Radio Saturday evening. I'm going to do like a live chat commentary sort of thing with Matt Hunter of Mixed Combat Radio. Yeah, so we need to finalize these plans, but yes, that was our plan. So I should be joining him in his studio to get that done. But here's the thing. I don't know what fights we're going to talk about yet. I don't know what fights we're going to be watching, because there's so many fights. So it could be UFC on Fox. It could be Canelo. It could be Bellator. We'll probably just end up switching channels the whole time anyway. Did he also not give you the Slack chat, and that's probably you were unprepared?
Oh no, he doesn't have the Slack chat, like you do.
Oh, he doesn't even have it today.
Mr. We just text each other. But you, Mr. Burgos, have the Slack chat, and I added you to it, and you so trash, you don't change your notifications.
Nothing.
Does the ant rant have to be about you this week?
He's lying, man. Like Michael Chandler lied.
Man, if you don't get that shit fixed, bruh, man,
we're gonna get this damn EA Sports tournament going. Jay,
oh yeah. Oh, actually, I'm trash because I was supposed to do some research in that, and I did not.
Oh my god,
I'm trash. But our editor in chief, Mike Fridley, has cleared the way for this to happen. So I just have to, do the groundwork, make sure that the technical stuff is all in order. And I need to get one of those little headset things too, so I can talk trash while I beat your ass.
Oh, I'm gonna not talk at all. You're just gonna see my face and then see the face of victory, and that's all you really need to see.
I see the face of victory every day in the mirror, bro.
How's it good?
Well, thank you. Oh, Jay has informed me that he picked up his copy of UFC 3. So yes, Jay, you can catch these hands as well.
I know, Jay. You're just gonna get smoked up, right?
Hey, these beatdowns. I'm just giving out these beatdowns, man. I'm just giving them out. This is charity beatdown right here.
When I get that takedown and you can't get up, I'm dying. I want to ask about the smoke. And is the smoke stacks coming out? Where are the smoke signals? I'm going to ask about that.
So you just going to try to take it to the ground? Trash, bro. Let me bang, bro.
This is not boxing and kickboxing. This is martial arts, my friend. Mixed martial arts.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Okay. I'm yeah, you know what? I ran out of clever things to say, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. So all right. So I'm Anthony Walker for Jason Burgos. You have been tuning in to Sherdog.com, the live chat called The Trenches. Appreciate your time, appreciate your questions. Come back next week for the same old. So in the meantime, you know what to do. Stay sexy. Peace.